Well, welcome back to that show. Buckle up with the boys here. It is a goddamn pleasure to be back with you, Eric. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a little bit, so it's good to be back and get back in the action.
No, we're going to get after it tonight. It's going to be electric as all hell. A lot of things to touch on, though. I just want to give a shout out to all the beautiful subscribers out there. If you could get more subscribers, that would be awesome. Push the brand. We're trying to start something new here. Eric's a part of it. Josh Mitchell, who's not here tonight, he's busy doing other things, but it's a goddamn pleasure to be here with you, Eric. But just want to hear your feelings on the Super Bowl. What were your feelings on that?
Going into the game, I was so torn on it. Being a Raiders fan, I have just a lot of hatred towards the Chiefs. Right. But I also have a lot of friends, close friends, who are Eagles fans as well. And I didn't really want to hear from them for the next year. So I was kind of torn on who I wanted to win. At the end of the day, I wanted the Chiefs to win just so the Raiders can say that, they got to go against the Super Bowl champs every year, twice a year.
Right.
But, couldn't have asked for a much better Super Bowl. You know what I mean? It came down to the wire.
Yeah.
Whether you like the call or not. At least it was a competitive game. At least it was entertaining, to say the least. So I don't know if you, share the same – view as I do, but I thought it was pretty good.
I enjoyed all the free bets that we got from the game, Eric. That's about it. $50 in the hole, 10 bets with $5 on them. And all I needed was goddamn Miles Sanders to get a touchdown and the Eagles to win. And we would have walked out with $800.
Really?
That's all I needed on a parlay. Yes. So for that, ref, if you're listening to this, you can go fuck yourself for calling that pass interference call.
Well, this in your shoes, I've been a little disappointed then too.
But I guess I want to, just get your take on it. Do you think you need to call that kind of call at that stake of the game? Jesus.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. If I'm an Eagles fan, I'm certainly not happy about it. I will say they handled that better than anyone could have asked them to handle that. Like every player they asked, they're like, yeah, that the game wasn't determined by one play. It is what it is. Like nobody was really bitching about it, which was, just being a competitor, you'd think you just bitch about it because you just lost the Super Bowl. But I got to give them props for not doing that. So personally, I'd like to see that go and let the players kind of decide it, because after that happened, the game was virtually over. It was a chip shot field goal. So.
I would have threw a fucking fit.
Do you think that was a bullshit holding call, or did you think that they should have called that?
I don't. Vegas controls. That's what I learned from that holding call. A little fucked off about it. If I was in the locker room, Eric, I'm going to be honest, I would have threw a fit. And I don't think they would have allowed me to be around a microphone. I'm just going to be honest.
I saw today that the 5 biggest bets for the Super Bowl were all Eagles bets. So that tells you something.
No. But the other thing I want to touch on here too is the Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce saga here that we got to see. They're already asking him, which I think it's just a kick in the balls at this point, but they're asking him, at 35, is Jason done playing? Do you think he comes back another season, or what do you think?
He didn't sound like he was, going to make it back. Right. The Eagles are set up for success for the next, for a while. They're going to be good.
Right. Yes.
I personally was never a believer in Jalen Hurts. He definitely has proved me wrong. He was good in the Super Bowl too. He had one bad play where he fumbled the ball, but outside of that, he played really well. But
right.
I don't know if you saw that video of them talking and on their podcast, and man, that almost made me tear up talking about, I can't imagine being that mom and having, you have one guy who just won the Super Bowl, one kid, and then you have one kid who just got their heart broken, losing the Super Bowl. And, you're bouncing back and forth between being really happy for one person and then being, that's a tough situation. Do you think he's going to come back, or you think he's hanging it up?
I think he, I don't know. I don't think the job's done. He already has a ring. I just like at the end of the game here, I think a lot of people probably saw it. If you're a sports fan, NFL fan, but Jason Kelce promptly says to Travis when they're walking off the field before the celebration starts, "Fuck you, congratulations." I just think that's just brotherly. Like,
that was awesome. Honestly, I love that.
Right.
What else are you gonna say? You know what I mean? Like, it's your brother. You know, you don't want to lose the Super Bowl, but if you're gonna lose it, I guess that's who you want to lose it to. You know, at least somebody in the family's happy. So.
Did you see that they put up that graph? It starts or something. There was something crazy stats, and they were, they had the one Super Bowl each. And then there was some other stats they had up when the Super Bowl was on there. But I would just drive me nuts, Eric, you and me both being competitors. My brother's better than me now. I'm 35. I might not get back there to tie him up. That would kind of piss me off a little bit, itch at me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He could definitely come back. He just was kind of a little bit. I'm sure he's down in the dumps. I'd be down in the dumps too. And thinking about maybe just going and hanging out on the beach and doing whatever I want for the rest of my life. But it's like that brotherly love, but also that competition between the two. I'm sure it's going to be just driving them crazy all off season, like watching their parade that happened earlier. And I might set a little fire on them and get them to come back again next year. So, time will tell, and I'm sure they'll have to make a decision here fairly soon.
Right. No. So we're going to move on to something else here, people. If you're new to the show, Eric is a huge Raiders fan. So your feelings on David Carr. Eric, I'm going to let you take this.
Well, first off, Derek Carr. His brother is David. But
Derek. Sorry, Derek. I do it every fucking time.
I think, if I was him, I would have did the same thing. He said that he wasn't gonna, waive his no trade clause because, he can pick any team he wants. Why would he, opt in to be traded when he could just wait and enter and go to any team he wants, pretty much any team that wants him. Instead of helping the Raiders out, because realistically, he gave the Raiders, everything for the last 9 years. Like they never got to the point where they wanted to get, but that franchise has been dysfunctional for as long as I can remember at this point. So, it's he was in a tough situation for 9 years. And, I think we can talk about where we think he's going to go. I think we will at some point tonight, probably. But I feel bad for him.
Now if you want to, fuck it.
Yeah. So here's what I think. Here's what I think happened. So I don't know if you saw that he visited the Saints. The Saints were willing to the Raiders and Saints agreed to trade compensation, and all he had to do was sign off on it, and he would have been on the Saints. I'm sure he went to the Saints and said, don't trade for me. I'll just come there when I'm done. Like, let me get released, and then you don't have to lose anything. It'll help the team out, and then I'll sign here. I could see him going to the Saints, and I actually like that a lot. I think they're not too far away from being a good team. So, I think he's going to end up on the Saints at this point. I think there's some other teams that are definitely interested, but Saints make a lot of sense to me.
Okay.
I know you probably.
Well, I think he. I think he could go to the Jets. Cold weather, though, we talked about it. I think people are starting to see that we have a common theme here. We like to talk about some of the same things, but the Jets, Falcons, or the Colts. I still think he could go to the Colts, Eric. I don't. They're one quarterback away, like me and Josh and you have talked about. They're one quarterback away. So maybe Derek Carr's the answer.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw what Jim Irsay said. He was talking about potentially trading up in the draft to number one, and he was kind of highlighting on how he likes Bryce Young. So, if you draft him, if you do move up, there's a lot that's going to happen in the next couple months. You know what I mean? Depending on where Aaron Rodgers is going to be the first one to move, I believe, because if you're the Jets, you're not going to sign Derek Carr if you think you have a shot at Aaron Rodgers. So, I think there's a lot of things that can happen and transpire in the next couple months, and Derek Carr will probably. I think it's going to be another month or so before he actually gets on the team.
Yeah. No, but wherever he ends up, but he brought up Rodgers there, so that was a good transition in. So he's talking shit on Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter and telling them that they can mind their own fucking business because they don't know shit. So, and that's via Pat McAfee show. So I really wanted to see your standpoint on that. Do you think he needs to go back with the tribe there and the Fuji village there and try some peyote, or what do you think's going on there, Eric?
He's goofy. There's no doubt about it. He is goofy.
He's a goofy son of a bitch.
But he can sling a football. He can still sling a football. I know
he
had a little bit of a down year, but with some good weapons around him, he can still sling it. But what's he doing? He went on like a 4-day retreat where there's no sunlight or something. He's doing something crazy.
He did that last year, and
I think he's doing something again like right now. It's something else is going on right now, but he just. He just disconnects from everything media and just how the world is turning these days, I guess. And that's how he makes his decisions. I mean, that's a fucking if the decision is him, kind of demanding a trade to the Raiders, then I'll take it. Go do whatever you got to do. But it doesn't mean he's not a weird guy. He's still a goofy.
Right. No. Yeah, I just I don't want to get too much into it, but I think as an athlete, maybe maybe when you get to that point, you're close to 40 years old, you've already done everything in the sport, basically. You don't really need the mentality, but I don't think I would want to, if I was a professional athlete, take something that's going to alter the shit out of my brain for 4 days. And then you could tell he was he wasn't as chippy as last year. Now it's coming out after off season here, but you could tell in his interviews, someone did it, that he's a completely different man and very mellow, and it's kind of fucking scary how much he's changed just from taking whatever shit he took down there in the Fuji jungle there.
I don't know, man. I'm not a professional athlete. I was never at the level that he was at, and I still don't want to do that. Right. So I don't know.
But he's openly talking about using an illegal substance. I don't know how the NFL's now whoa. Hey, man, what the hell are you doing here in your off time?
I don't know if he wants to. Maybe it's a cry for help. He's trying to get caught. I don't know. Something's going on.
Well, whatever. Yeah, Blue Angels down there too, freaking playing the trumpets or whatever, the trombone. I don't even know what the fuck I'm trying to say. But it's all fucked up. I mean, the whole thing, the whole saga, his career's fucked up. And I don't think he'll be in a Packers jersey next year. I really don't.
No, but neither do I. They struggled so much this year, and they kind of turned it on at the end of the year. Right. But I can't really picture a scenario. I'm sure Green Bay, is kind of ready to move on at this point too, because they're not winning a Super Bowl if he comes back. So he might as well unload his huge contract, get a couple draft picks for him, and then kind of start a rebuild or see if you can get somebody else.
Yeah, no, I don't think he had any weapons that he should have had. You lose Devontae to the Raiders, and then you got two good running backs, but I don't think there was anybody big star anywhere close to Devontae. You know what I mean? So he lost his main weapon.
You saw what he did with the Raiders this year, and the Raiders were horrible. He put up ridiculous numbers for the Raiders too. Right. So he's just a stud, man. He's just doesn't really matter who the quarterback is. Sling it out there, and he'll get a couple balls.
Yeah, but the other thing we got to touch on here too is Lamar Jackson. We're still waiting for him to sign with the Baltimore Ravens, Eric. You weren't here for last week, but we were talking. There's $100 million difference between the two of them right now with the Ravens organization and Lamar Jackson. $100 million guaranteed. Do you think he needs a fucking agent at this point?
He needs an agent, or he needs to move on to a different team? Because
holy shit.
Yeah, I understand that you want to kind of do it yourself, and maybe you want to learn the business, or whatever the case is. But those guys went to law school and shit for years and years and years for a reason. You know what I mean? They know the ins and outs of the contracts and the laws and things like that, the legal, in all those. So, you want to feel bad for him, but at the same time, it's like you're kind of doing it to yourself, But if I'm him, he's been that bright spot for the Ravens for the last however many years it's been, and he's got to feel some type of way towards the organization. They're not really loyal to me right now. I've given everything I could to them. And on the flip side, I kind of get it from their side too, because he's always one play away from getting hurt because he's just always running, and I know he's extremely agile and quick, but the last couple of years at the end of the season he's been hurt, and hasn't been able to really help them out in the playoffs all that much. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think eventually he probably does come back, but I think if he goes in the open market, there's a lot of money out there for him too. You think he's sticking around with the Ravens, or you think he's going to bounce?
I hate the Ravens. I'm going to make it clear. If anybody's watching this, you're a Ravens fan, I think less of you, but you're still a good person. But I every time that there's a situation with them, I'm perfectly fine with them just fucking it up. So if they let Lamar Jackson's freak of a talent, I'm going to say it. That's the first time I've actually complimented him. Walk away, I would be okay with that. When they let Joe Flacco walk away, I know that it was when they got Lamar, but I mean, I don't fucking know what they were doing. Like, I could see them fucking up here and let Lamar walk away. I really do. I could see it.
Well,
but the other, oh yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, at this point, they have built the entire offense around Lamar Jackson and them running the football. Yeah. So, like, if he does go somewhere else, or they do go a different route, I mean, they're going to have to, they got to blow that thing up unless they get another quarterback in there that can run the ball like Lamar, so we'll see what happens.
But you're going to have to get some fucking dynamite and just blow the whole offense up because it ain't going to fucking work. All right. So, we touched on there's this report coming out here, Eric. It's actually very sad. It just happened today. Stanley Wilson Jr. He was a former Detroit Lion cornerback and son of ex-Bengals running back Stanley Wilson Sr. He was a hell of a running back. If you don't know about him, look up his highlights. He was a stud. But he died in a mental hospital earlier this month. It's only coming out now for some reason. But it's a little concerning, and me and Josh touched on it last week too. There's a lot of shit coming out right now about the CTE with the NFL. I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many guys that, it's off season now, so we got to think of something to talk about if we're going to talk NFL. This is the best subject. So what's your feeling on how they're handling all that?
It's such a touchy subject, man. I mean, brain injuries.
I know.
Back in the, 20 years ago, you got your bell rung or you got a concussion, you got up and played. And you're certainly going to see the effect because these guys are, the guys that were 25, 30 years old playing in the NFL, and now they're 50 or 55 or however old they are. You're going to start seeing people die, and you're going to start seeing people have serious issues and doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And, I do think the NFL is going to be in some serious trouble not too long from now, whether it's 10 years or 15 years, because there's just going to be more and more information coming out about these concussions, and, players are willing to donate their brains and stuff like that to science for people to take a look at. And ultimately they're going to find something on the NFL that they knew about this a long time ago, and they just kept going with it because they were making so much money. But it truly is a sad situation because I know we've talked about it before. There's just really nothing you can do. Like, it doesn't matter what helmet you put on. You're smashing your head into another person. Your brain's going to get rattled in there. You know what I mean? So it's sad, and we'll see what comes of it. And, realistically, I don't think we were really put on the earth to smack our heads together, but, it's an entertaining sport for sure.
Right. This is way above my credentials. And I might be completely fucking way, maybe 30 years from now, Eric. But I feel like with all the technology we have, there's no way you could put like a fucking chip or some kind of system in that helmet that, okay, it's blinking red. Like, okay, he needs to get out of the game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you think there's something they could fucking like, okay, there was too much contact here. We need to get him off the fucking field. Like,
yeah,
because guys aren't self-reporting. It's not working.
Yeah, and just as competitors, that'll never work. Like, think about if somebody got a concussion in the Super Bowl and they weren't like wobbling around. Like, they're not going to come off the field. I wouldn't come off the field. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you're gonna continuously see progression in the helmets, I think, but I just don't think it's really possible to have something so safe that you can prevent concussions fully. You know what I mean? And that's like you said, it's way above my pay grade. I'm not 100% sure on that, but just like the idea of what happens when you get a concussion with your brain, smacking the back of your skull or whatever, rattling around in there.
Right.
The idea of people just hitting each other over and over and over. I just don't know how that could ever be prevented. But that is a good point, though. Hopefully someday, they have something where like maybe the brain activity is different and it tells them, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. No. And it's just, I don't know. It's just concerning because, I mean, you see another guy, he was probably in a mental hospital, probably because he had brain stuff going on. I mean, it's just fucking sad to me. But so here's something interesting that I think you would love to hear. Josh Allen gives props to the Chiefs at Patrick Mahomes. You got to find ways to be like them. What the fuck, Eric, as a competitor, are you kissing your predecessor's ass? What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, I think as fans, we really want to see the top dogs like hate each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
But in all reality, I think in all sports, and I think you see it in basketball more than anything, a lot of the dudes are just they're friends at this point because there was like, travel basketball growing up, AAU basketball, or, there's flag football now, 7-on-7s, and you just meet these people. And I'm not saying that was the case with these guys, but you meet these guys at such a young age that friendships are being built before they're actually playing against each other in big games. But, there definitely is some hatred still. I mean, I don't know if you saw Juju posting that thing about the guy that held him. Did you see that on Valentine's Day? He posted a thing of the guy that held him in the last play of the game or towards the end of the game and said something like, I will hold you when it matters the most. And A.J. Brown clapped back at him and called him a clown and told him he was better at TikTok dances than playing football, which I loved.
Well,
I'm not a Juju. But, no, I mean, everyone wants to see that, competitiveness. And, that's definitely a older generation thing, I think. I think at this point, so many people are traveling around and competing against people. But I know you being a competitor, you definitely would like to see a little bit more trash talk instead of the
fuck that, dude. Like, I'm sorry. But for the rest of Josh Allen's career, the Bills, Sean McDermott, whoever's on the goddamn team, Stephon Diggs, 13 seconds will always be a number that they are going to remember.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just like Matt Ryan when he lost that big lead. I'm not kissing the guy's ass, Eric. We're not doing that. No, we're not.
I mean,
hey, you're better than me.
I'm certainly not kissing the person's ass that beat me. Like, I know they didn't beat him this year, but I mean, think about how upset everyone was last year. And then this year was the Bills' year, just like always. It's always the Bills' year. And, they came out, and I know they lost to Cincinnati, but still, like, that's got to sit sour in your mouth from the year, previous, where you blew the game. You should have been in the Super Bowl probably, but I do like the competitiveness, talking a little bit of trash and getting after it a little bit.
Yeah, no, but okay. So what else do we got here, Eric? Boy. All right. So yeah, we're gonna swing. Well, actually, hold on. I just got an email from my buddy here. Okay. This is interesting here. So they just put this out 4 hours ago. Jimmy Garoppolo, the Las Vegas Raiders. How do you feel about that?
Wait. This is a done deal, or this
Bleacher Report? No, this is happening. This could happen.
Oh, it could happen. I was going to say, as a Raiders fan, I think I would know that it happened.
I wanted to go along and say it did happen just to see. No. This is a possibility.
I don't like it because I don't think it makes you better than having Derek Carr. I think they're the same person. You know what I mean? Like, they're the same exact person. Yeah. Maybe you can get him for a little bit cheaper and then you try to make some moves around him. But to me, and it sounds like the Raiders don't have a plan, but to me, you'll let Derek Carr go because you have a plan. You would hope. Right. But, I think their original plan was Tom Brady. I really do. I really think that they're going to go after him hard. And then he retires. But, I'm hearing reports. I've seen reports that the Raiders are going after Aaron Rodgers. We'll see how real that is. I saw today or yesterday they were talking about it on the Herd that they're asking for a first, a third, and a fifth for Aaron Rodgers. Like, I don't know. That seems a little steep for a guy who has a huge contract and he's got 1 or 2 years max left in the NFL. You know what I mean? So
now, Eric,
I don't know.
You're wrong here, because if he's smoking
On
the
what?
Cambodia or whatever the hell he's doing
gonna live
down there,
forever.
peyote, he is 5 fucking years, buddy. He's fine. His bones are fresh. He's, you got Blue Angel down there playing the drums, and she's fucking, everything's good. Everything is fine. I think the Raiders should do that deal. Get Rodgers there, and they can all have peyote smoking him. Mark Davis would love that. Come on. Mark would love that.
Into in Vegas? Vegas is like, you can do anything in Vegas. You can just walk out on the
He might have his own Vegas.
So I don't know. But
he's going to have his own fucking show out there.
Yeah. I mean, he'll be tripping on acid or something, and people will be throwing him ones out on the sidewalk or doing something. I don't know. But no, I think the best action for the Raiders is to trade for Rodgers and then draft a young quarterback and have him sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a year or two and learn the game. Like, Aaron Rodgers is, whether you like him or you don't like him, he's one of the most talented quarterbacks that has ever played in the game. Like, he can sling it with the best of them. Does he have the resume of Super Bowls and everything that, Tom Brady or Peyton Manning has? No. But can he sling it pretty much as good as anyone that's ever thrown it? Yeah. So,
yeah,
it'd be nice to see that happen.
No, I think that would be smart. I bring him in, maybe draft some quarterback maybe not this year, maybe the year after. Would you say this year?
Saying they're going to take a quarterback at 7. So we'll see who's available, what happens.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Eric.
That's what they're saying, But like I said, we hope they have a stand, but it doesn't seem like they do.
They need defense. They need to get some fucking guys on the team.
Where are they?
I mean, they're as bad as the Vikings, for fuck's sake.
They can't stop a runny nose.
No. But no, and I having you on here, people, if you didn't know this, Eric played collegiate basketball. So we're going to touch on some NBA information here. Eric, anything you wanted to touch on with that? I got some things here.
With the NBA?
Yeah. You weren't here last week for the GOAT.
Yeah, I mean, we got to talk about the GOAT, the real GOAT, LeBron James.
I don't think so. But okay.
Did you watch the game that he broke the record or no?
I did watch the game. I flipped out. I said it last week. I was very pissed off because I had him hitting it on a free throw.
Yeah,
25 points. That was one of the bets. Okay. He did hit it from the free throw, but it was not an actual free throw shot. So I'm a little fucked off for that. I'm a little pissed, but continue.
Yes. I mean, it did. I know you're a huge Kobe fan. I was a Kobe fan as well.
Yeah.
It gave me last game Kobe vibes, like where it was like every time Kobe touched the ball, everyone's like, shoot it, like shoot the ball. Like, and anytime anyone else scored other than Kobe, everyone was upset. You know what I mean? Like, it definitely
fucking pissed off. Fuck this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, give the ball back to him. But I mean, the second I saw what he wore to the arena, I knew he was getting it that night. There's no way he wasn't. He wore that all black, like, business funeral type of shit. And he was like, all right. And then they were talking about all the people that were in attendance. He wasn't going to go out there and lay an egg with all those people in there, And he's got to pay for his boys to stay for a couple more days and all that shit. But,
right.
I was listening to JJ Redick talk. I love listening to him talk because he's very knowledgeable and he's super unbiased, like unlike the rest of the media for the most part. But and I would love to get your take on this because I would love to defend my man as well. So, would you consider LeBron an all-time great scorer?
Okay, so this is where, Eric, I get a little fired up because, listen, he's 6'8", 265. He could be a goddamn tight end in the NFL, okay? But I would say I think he's one of the best facilitators. Scorer, yes, but I don't know. I mean, Kobe and Michael did it 6'6", 210, 205. I mean,
You're holding his
I don't
height.
know, Eric.
You're holding his height that he has no
his statute
against him.
Well, I mean, you can take advantage of it, but I would say.
What about Will?
He's one of the best scorers. Okay, Will was doing a lot of other things than scoring, but we don't need to touch on that.
And he's a big boy.
Right.
But
I mean, he was getting after 22,000 women. I mean, come on, Jesus Christ. I mean, the guy was not losing at all.
Just winning at me. No. The reason why I brought that up is because I actually didn't know this, and I listened to JJ talk about it. And he's talking about how, on First Take, they're saying, he's not an all-time – somebody said he wasn't an all-time great scorer, but he's the all-time leading scorer in the history of the sport. And then they break it down.
Right.
Per season, LeBron is fifth all-time out of every player in the NBA in scoring per year for his career. So strictly on just a per year, because a lot of people say it's longevity, which, of course, it's a part of it.
Right.
But he averages more points per game than Kobe did for his career. You know what I mean? He's less than a half a point behind two other players. So, he could he's easily top 5 in points per game for his career. Right. So it's like, I understand he's very, very good at other things as well, which makes people think that he's not a great scorer, but he shoots better from two than Kobe and Michael did. He's a better 3-point shooter than Michael. I mean, it's tough to argue. The numbers don't lie. You know what I mean?
I hate this kind of thing because I've always looked at every 10, 20 years, there comes an athlete that was better than the predecessor. So like Michael, it was Michael, and then it was, I feel, Kobe, and then it was LeBron. I hate, though, that some of the guys way back when, Eric, science of sports, there's guys drinking fucking 6-packs in the 70s. There's you know what I mean? It's just so different now with sports science that I think it's very hard to go ahead and say, talk shit on LeBron or talk shit on Jordan or talk shit on even fucking Jerry West. I mean, he was a hell of a player too. Bob Cousy, all those fucking old timers. But I mean, fuck, they were playing in flat top Converse for fuck's sake. Now we got the most comfortable shoes in the world. I don't know how you could do that.
I mean,
that's
kind of the point too, right?
That.
There's evolution in everything. Everything has evolution.
Right.
And that includes sports.
Right.
If you put some of the people in the NFL against people from 40 years ago, I mean, we're talking bigger, faster, stronger. What are we talking about? They're going to kill them. You know what I mean? And it's going to be the same thing in 40 years from now.
I know.
There's going to be a time where somebody they got the same athleticism as LeBron, they can shoot a little bit better, and they might be 6'10". That's going to happen eventually. Right. Someone's going to do it.
Right.
But that's the thing with all the old heads in my head is that they refuse to let go of the past and don't think evolution happens in sports. You know what I mean? But it was a lot of fun to watch. And outside of LeBron breaking the record, I think one of the most interesting things that has happened since, I've been on here last is Kevin Durant getting traded to the Suns.
Yes.
So if you have any opinions or thing you'd like to share about that, I think that's a great little talk.
I'm not sure.
Not much.
I'm not sure what the fuck the Brooklyn Nets is doing. I have no goddamn idea. So you go ahead and get rid of last year. You gave James Harden away. Mm-hmm. Then you have Kyrie leave, and then you have Kevin Durant. Which Kyrie, there's a whole fucking thing going on with that. I mean, the guy has not had the best track record over the last 2 years, Eric. Let's be honest here. But I don't know. I can't wait to. It's just funny though because I don't think they're going to have any issues transitioning because. They were with superstars. Now they're with, Devin Booker's there with Kevin Durant now in Phoenix. And then you got Kyrie with Luka. I don't think I want to watch that relationship with those two. That's what I'm interested about.
Luka and Kyrie.
And Kyrie meshing. Yes. I don't know about that.
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know if you've seen, because Kyrie's big thing is people think he's arguably the best clutch shooter in the NBA, games on the line, who do you want to have the ball? Most people would agree there's very few people other than Kyrie that he's just really good in the clutch. He makes plays.
Goddamn right. Yeah.
In the first 2 games, Luka took the first shot. The first 2 games that they were in that situation, Luka took the first shot, missed it. And then last game, they kept passing it back and forth, and then they didn't even get a shot off. So it would be interesting to see how that goes down the stretch because everyone wants to be that guy when you're the guy on the team. So we'll see what happens.
Right.
I think with the KD thing, I think they're going to be extremely tough to beat. I think those superstars gel well together. You know what I mean? You have a really good 2-guard. You got Chris Paul at the point. KD, he can play pretty much any position really. And then you got DeAndre Ayton. So they got a lot of talent in different areas. They're a little thin, but I mean, man, they're going to be the West. The West is ridiculous.
Right. I always think back to, and Eric, I'm going to show how I love old time basketball. It's not really old. It's 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Yeah, 30 years ago now. But I haven't seen though. Remember in the Last Dance with Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. Jordan was down, and there was that whole thing about Scottie. He's like, Phil, hey, I want to fucking hit the game winner here. He goes to Tony Kukoc, he hits it. Do you think anything like that's ever going to happen with these two, or I guess these two sets of teammates now? Like, fuck you, dude. Like, this is fucking bullshit. I want the spotlight. I mean, this is bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Whether you want to believe it or not, in your own head, when you're that good at something, like those two are very high up, in their sports, right?
Yes.
You have an ego, whether you want to say it or not. Like,
right.
No matter what, even in high school, if you're good in high school, you have an ego. You're like, I want, So I can only imagine, being in a situation like that, and coach is like, let me give the ball to Joe Schmo over here instead of you. Right. Even though, Luke or Kyrie, it's not a bad option either way. But I think Kyrie probably has a bigger ego than Luka. I could see Luka being more passive with it and giving it to Kyrie. But Kyrie's also proved it in the biggest stage, Game 7 of NBA Finals.
Correct.
So I think both options are great, but there definitely could be some disconnect on who should be taking that last shot.
Right. Now, the other thing I want to touch on too, and I think it's very interesting in our day of age, an athlete, a big-time athlete, deleting any social media accounts. So Anthony Davis deactivated his Instagram account after their loss against the Blazers on Monday night. So what the hell do you think's going on with that? You think he's done, or what's going on? I mean, we're going to start some controversy, so fuck it. Let's do it.
I think he's extremely frustrated with where the Lakers are at right now.
Right.
The trades that they made, I think, are very good for them. I think if they would have had these trades 30 games ago, I think they would be in a position where they're probably the 5 seed right now in the West. But, now time's against them. They only have like 20 some games left. So I think he's just frustrated because, the first year he goes to LA, or was it the first year or the second year? First year he goes to LA to win a championship.
Yep.
And when you're at the mountaintop like that, you think it's going to happen every year. And since then, he hasn't been able to stay healthy at all. LeBron's been off and on healthy. And the Lakers have the biggest decision was Russell Westbrook, a horrible trade that set them back. So, they're in kind of a pinch right now where I think he's extremely frustrated. He's always going to be, as long as LeBron's in the NBA, it doesn't even matter if he's that good. You're never going to be a bigger name than LeBron James. Like, whether you're better than him or not, you're not going to outshine him. So maybe there's a little bit of jealousy going on too. I mean, they're just in a tough spot. And if they don't make the playoffs again this year, which, it's going to be difficult for them to do it. I think they can, but they have to go on a little run here at the end of the season. It's going to be another long off season for them, trying to get back to just not even winning a championship, getting back into the playoff hunt, Yeah.
No, I got to say, I don't think AD has any right to be pissed off with the Lakers season here, Eric. I'm gonna go a different route here. You cannot fucking stay healthy, dude. You hit him with a stick, Eric, and he's fucking hurt. Like, what was it? I watched the game probably a month and a half. I don't know how long ago it was, but like a routine roll ankle, like acted like he was fucking dying on the court. Like, what the fuck? You're getting paid millions of dollars. The franchise, as you and LeBron's answer every call that you guys want, and you just keep fucking getting hurt. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. What he needs to do is he needs to follow LeBron around for a week and see exactly what he did to stay healthy for the first 17 years of his career, and do what he did. Like, spend money. I don't know. You got to do something. But no, I agree with you on that. I mean,
No.
you can't really be mad at anyone else besides yourself. And it's not like he's doing it on purpose, obviously. These are just injuries that happen, and he's always been a fragile guy. And that's why I really wouldn't have been that upset if they would have traded him either last year or at the deadline this year, because you can't count on him to be there. You really can't. He's a very good talent, but you can't count on him to be there when you need him.
Right. I mean, it's not like Shaq, and I think that's what they're trying to do. Have like I don't want to make the comparison, Eric, and I don't want to piss you off, but I think they are trying to get back. Jeannie Buss is trying to get back to the Kobe Shaq thing there with LeBron and having, LeBron and having a big guy in there. But Shaq, he was a durable son of a bitch, and he fucked people up. Like he threw his fucking body around. Anthony doesn't like the contact. I feel. I think he shies away from it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
So he's definitely more of a finesse guy, compared to Shaq.
Like a Tim Duncan kind of thing going on.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I would say Timmy was definitely more physical, but that's when Anthony Davis is at his best, is when he plays physical and, he just posts people up. He gets, I don't know. I don't know if he's a little softy or what, but sometimes he just hates getting in the post. He'll just shoot jumpers all night, and it's like, dude, just kills the Lakers though.
Well, he might be going to Krispy Kreme instead of getting, cryotherapy done.
He might be. He's doing something wrong. I know that. I don't know what it is.
I mean, what the fuck's going on here? I mean, whatever. Jack in the Box probably too. He's probably getting a fucking whatever. But anyways, what else here? So we got big news coming out here too, Eric. NBA guard Brian Forbes. He was waived by the Minnesota Timberwolves last week. This is kind of sad, but it's also fucked up at the same time. He was arrested on Wednesday morning after he today, allegedly hitting a woman several times. Do you think I always wanted to touch on this with another athlete, Eric? Do you think sometimes when teams just let players go, they don't always bring them down easy? They just say, hey, fuck you. You're done here. We're done with your services. Like, I feel like this is stemming from him getting released by the Timberwolves. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously there's never an excuse to do something like that, obviously.
Right.
But, I mean, I'm sure, you reach your goal, you want to play in the NBA or NFL or whatever the sport is, and then you get cut and, you probably go to a dark place for a little bit, and like I said, obviously no excuse. You can't ever do something like that.
No.
And you hope, I don't know the extent of everything that happened, obviously, but, you hope everything's okay and that they, figure out how to better themselves, whoever it is, whether it's a basketball player, NFL player, whoever, because you see it all the time, man. You see it all the time. And,
I know,
I feel like you see it in the NFL a little bit more than you see it in other sports. But you just wonder because, that these guys have the world, by the balls. They got all this money, potentially, depending on who you are, have the fame. And I know he's in a tough situation, but I'm sure he's made a good chunk of money prior to this. Right. And then you go and do something stupid, and you see it all the time. It's just sad. You
think he's done? I know that's bold, but I don't know. I mean,
I would probably say so. I think when you're a fringe player in the NBA, you gotta do things right to try to get back on a roster or try to make a team or whatever the case may be. And then you go and do something stupid like that. If there's a guy who's a similar talent to you and can do what you do, but hasn't had issues in the past with domestic violence or something, I mean, who are they going to go with? Right. So, just putting yourself behind the eight ball right from the get-go.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I don't know if there's any other questions you have for me, Eric, or want to throw anything out here. But I definitely have some questions here. We did it last week with Josh. There's, still, most of our percentage of our listeners, if you look at the analytics of our channel, you beautiful people out there, we're ranging from 16 to 29. So there could potentially be some athletes out here that listen to you, probably fans of you, probably maybe fans of Josh, maybe know of me. And I just want to ask you a couple questions here, and we both answer them and kind of decipher what you feel. Okay. So when you look back on your career, Eric, where's that one place that you loved to compete? That one gym, like you just were fucking on. Like there was nothing that was going to stop you. Like,
man, I mean, it's an easy answer. You know what I mean? Like I'm not giving you a good one, but I will say there's just no place like home. You know what I mean? Obviously, just going home, being at the gym in Ridgeway, you always love going there. And then the two other gyms that I really liked to play at was Johnsonburg, because it was always hostile. You know, it was always a good place to go. And then ECC as well. And I didn't have great success at ECC. I think I only won there one time, maybe my senior year, I want to say.
Oh, wow.
So it's not like I was winning there at the time, but you know, you're just playing against the good teams at their place. And, you know, there's nothing like shutting up a crowd, you know, especially in Johnsonburg, when they're chanting shit at you. So that was always fun. And then in college, there was a school called Mount Aloysius who was in our conference.
Yep.
And they had a super nice gym. It was like brand new. And every time I went there, I just shot the shit out of it. Like I just loved it. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was because it was nice or what the case was, but I always played well. So I like going there as well.
And that's a way too. That's wild to me. But you know, I would have to say probably my favorite place, and it's funny that I live here now. University of Buffalo's track here. It's fucking huge. The stands were not filled, Eric. Okay. You've been around the sport of track. It's not, unless it's the Olympics or, some big invitational nationwide. But definitely probably there. And I would have to say out at just at Out Counties, up on the hill there, right up from Out County Catholic High School. I mean,
no place like home, right?
Yeah, I just enjoyed kicking people's asses on our home track. I mean, that was just enjoyable. But I'm trying to be humble about it. Right. But what is there any kind of mental tool that you use to deal with the pressure of performing? Like what did you do? Did you meditate? Is there anything that you tried to do to not shit your pants, basically? Like
no, there's definitely no meditation going on.
All right.
I think when I was younger, I was definitely in a different headspace than I would be if I was per se playing now. But my big thing was always music. You know what I mean? Before the game, not toning out my teammates, but having my music in, listening to what I want to listen to, trying to get my mind to a place where I need to be, whether that was high school or college. Like for high school, prior to the game starting, you'd always go warm up during the JV game. Mm-hmm. So at halftime, I have my own music in. I'm not talking to anyone, just trying to get to that place. And then for college, it was more previously to the game. You don't play back. There's no like a girls game and then a guys game or, JV or varsity. It's just one game. So, prior to the game showing up, probably about, I don't know, an hour and a half early. And then, getting shots up for about a half hour, getting warmed up and, just putting in some music, getting to a place where you need to be and going and competing. I never really got into a point where I was, meditating or doing, I just really believed in the work that I put in. And, I was extremely competitive and could live with the results, because I knew I put everything I had into it. So if I wasn't good enough that night, then I wasn't good enough that night. I moved on and went to the next game. But I don't know if you got into anything like meditating or if there's anything else that you kind of got into when you were playing.
So I just want to ask you, what's your song? Everybody has that song.
You are not going to believe when I tell you what my song was in high school. You are not going to believe.
Oh boy. This is gold here. This is gold.
And it was, looking back on it, I don't even know why it was my song, but it was funny as shit. The song that I listened to right before we'd go out, like coach would talk, you'd have about 2 minutes to get your warm up on, you'd get ready to go. The song I listened to every single game was "Moment for Life" by Nicki Minaj. Was the song I would listen to, which I'm not even a big fan of Nicki Minaj or anything. And I don't even know how that got to a place that I was listening to that prior to every song, but that's what I listened to. Because I think I was
Moment for Life.
If you listen to the song, you know what I'm talking about. But I think it was more of like, okay, I've been working, since I was in like 4th, 5th, 6th grade to get to the point where I could compete for a state championship. And I was like, okay, this is my moment. Like, this is the moment I've been waiting for. And that's why it kind of resonated with me. I'm not 100% sure. I honestly can't even remember, but I've probably listened to that song one time since basketball season ended my senior year. Like, I'd never listened to it, but for whatever reason, that was my song.
All the fangirls that probably just tune in the show to see your handsome face are probably just losing their minds right now. Oh my God, he's a fan of Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, well,
but
Nicki will Cardi B all day, every day. I'll tell you that.
But I gotta say, what the cool thing was we always did meditation the day before in high school. We thought it was beneficial for us we all laid it in the in the basketball court there in the gym at ECC, and he'd play this music, and he wanted us to envision our race the following day, which was like, I try to do it now, and I'm like, I'm not in the fucking right mental space to do this shit. Like, I think I need something to help with my mental state. Now, I'm not going to say what that is, but but it was very cool to see how that worked, and you felt comfortable with the process.
Yeah, I mean, prior to the game, I didn't really do anything like that. There was things in the game that I would do. We had a coach, Posturero, who was like kind of our Mr. Positive. You know what I mean? He was the one that always spewing the positive.
Right.
But he always talked about visualizing positive results, and one that was super, super simple to me was like, I'm at the free throw line, take a deep breath, just like think about the ball going through the hoop, and that's kind of how I did it. That's what I do towards, like, I do that all the time, but I feel like it was more important towards the end of the game where you might have a little bit more pressure to make a free throw. Maybe you got to make them both to end the game, or help your team out, get up 1 or 2 or whatever the case may be. But visualization is definitely something that is big in sports.
Yeah. No, and then the other thing too, what else did I want to say here? We was diet, and actually, this is a very good question. I just got jacked up about it. Me and Josh were touching on how different it is dieting between sports, and what we were talking about was the difference between my diet as a runner and his diet as a baseball player. Now, as I could not speak to. I just want to hear your standpoint on that, Josh. Eric, what diet they had you on? Was there a diet, or
no? There was no diet. For me, my issue was always gaining weight when I was younger.
Okay.
I'll never forget the first time my dad gave me a protein shake, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is the worst thing I've ever had in my entire life." So my diet was eat everything I could possibly see. My metabolism was just too fast. Like, my metabolism was just always going.
Right.
I mean, I think I told you I graduated high school at 134 pounds. Like, I was a small kid,
right.
You know what I mean? So I just couldn't put on weight. And that's like, I was like kind of contradicting myself, because in the summers when I should be trying to gain weight, I started doing, weight training and running programs. So that made me have to eat even more. And I just could never get to a point where I was eating enough calories. So I was never going to gain any weight.
Right.
For me, it was never anything strict. I've always tried to eat a fairly clean diet.
Right.
But there was nothing where it's like, you need to do this, you need to do that. Like, for basketball players who, might be older, like in the NBA or, in college, I feel like that's a lot different. But even when I was in college, I still couldn't really gain weight. I think I graduated college at like 155 pounds, 160 max.
Right.
So I still wasn't very big then. So it was pretty simple. Just eat whatever you can.
All right. And then the other question too, and I posed it to him last week too. What do you think is the toughest challenges for athletes nowadays? I had a standpoint on that, but I just want to hear yours. I think there's a lot.
Well, enlighten me on what you said, since I wasn't here. What did you say was the toughest?
Oh boy, I think that, and I'm gonna probably. I haven't really said anything that maybe I did piss people off. I do not like the new deals for college athletes. And the reason why I don't is, and this stems from my coach in college, Bob McFarland, God bless his soul, at Bonus, and also WJ at ECC. The biggest thing was for them was the journey and what the athlete got out of that sport and what you know what I mean. And I think with this fucking coming in now, Eric, it's performance or nothing. And I'm not going to get this whatever the fuck. I always fuck it up. The 3 letters that it is, but those steals that at college athletes, that they can make money off their name. I think you're taking the enjoyment out of the goddamn sport. I just that's just my standpoint on it. You know what I mean? I don't know, but I wasn't in a sport that I could make $100,000 a year extra. So
yeah, I mean that's definitely a good topic for another day. Like that's definitely something you can dig into pretty far.
Right.
So we'll have to put that in the archives and bring it out sometime for sure.
Okay. Okay.
I think social media is a huge thing now.
Right.
The basics are still there. You got to put the work in. You got to do what you're supposed to do. Like, that's always going to be there. But now I think kids have more distractions than ever. You know what I mean? Like you can always go on social media and see something, and everything's also everything's always filmed now too, which I'm not saying you should do bad things, but if you do one wrong thing, you could end up on the internet and, you could see your college career go away as well. So I think social media, is there's a lot of negativity, I think personally with social media. Of course there are certain things that are positive about it. And everyone's just, everyone always wants to have the mixtape. Everyone wants to be the next one to have the cool video out. And I think it just kind of takes away a little bit from, what it takes to be a college athlete or even a good high school athlete or whatever you're talking about, So, there's positive stuff, but to me, social media for the most part is more negative when it comes to athletes trying to make it to the next level.
No, I agree. And, I just, and I'm actually going to do this for the first time. And people enjoyed the hula hoop story so goddamn much. Eric, do you have any other competitive stories from way back when? Because I'll actually throw in one myself because we had you and Josh do one and I didn't throw one in, but I'll throw one of my competitive stories.
I mean,
all right. Do you want to fire it up?
If you can get us started, I have plenty. I got to think about what I should be talking about or saying before I say it. If you want to get us started,
here's one of the here's probably one of the most embarrassing stories that I don't think a lot of people know. And if you're new to the show, you'll find out we're all fucking very competitive here, psychopath. We do not like to lose. So this 7th grade, Eric, or no, 8th grade. Okay. We're up at the ECC track and there's this kid from Bradford. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to subtweet him. He knows who he is and he probably watches this, but he was my arch rival. And I'm like, this motherfucker's not beating me today because he's younger than me. He got me at the previous races. I said, and it's just 8th grade. This is supposed to be, you're just learning the sports. Now, fuck that. So we're running against each other and we're doing the mile. So in the mile, if anybody's not familiar, you do 4 laps around the track because that's 400 meters for 4 laps. So I get to the 3rd lap. Or no, I get on the 2nd lap. I'm like, oh, fuck, we're good. In my mind, I'm like, oh, this is the last lap. I don't know what's wrong with my fucking head. So I get down with the 3rd lap and I'm fucking cheering. I'm fucking pumped. And I'm like, he didn't ring the fucking bell. The PIAA official didn't ring the bell. That guy zooms past. I try to catch back up to him. He still beats me. And I flipped the living fuck out. I was like, God damn it. I literally had him. And my competitiveness of just wanted to beat his ass just made me lose count of the laps. Yeah. So that's my embarrassing competitive.
mine's not embarrassing. It's just kind of how I was wired and how I just thought, I guess. I'll never forget my junior year of college. Do you know what King of the Court is in basketball?
It's
essentially you're playing one-on-one against people. And okay. If you score, you stay on and somebody else comes on and you rotate. Yeah. So it's not like you're playing one-on-one against one person the whole time. We rotate against different defenders. And if you score, you stay on. And, typically I would win those, and the one time we played, it was like me. I think Zach Smith was there. And then my good buddy, Tyler Fantasky. And the one time we played, Tyler ended up winning King of the Court. And I was so pissed because, like I said, I normally won those. And I was so pissed that he won. I didn't talk to him the whole way home. And then the next morning I wake up, set my alarm for 6:00 in the morning. And I went down to the gym and got an hour and a half workout in of shots and dribbling and everything. Cause I was just so pissed off that he beat me at King of the Court. Just a meaningless game where it didn't mean anything. But until we played again, he was the one that had the bragging rights, and it just fired me up and pissed me off. I was like, I got to get better. I'm not losing this kid again. So, and he's one of my good friends. If he ever, I don't know if he listens or not, but he'll be able to back that story up from my junior year. It was a couple days because we didn't play for a few days after that.
That's kind of and I know you're a LeBron guy, but that's kind of like a Kobe Mamba mentality kind of thing.
I know I'm a Kobe. I know I'm a LeBron guy, but I loved Kobe. I loved hearing his stories. And, I always remembered one of my favorite stories from Kobe was he texted his trainer at 4 a.m. or something like that. And his trainer's like, yeah, I'll be at the gym an hour. And the trainer showed up an hour there, and, an hour later, and Kobe was already in a full sweat, already got a workout in. And the guy's like, did you work out already? He's like, yeah, I already got a workout in. Let's get another one in. Dude, that shit fires me up. I love that stuff.
Well, I don't know who there's another one I saw. There's, I forget the player's name, but he said he showed up to the gym. It was in LA, and he's like, oh, I'm going to get some shots of Kobe was shooting on the other side. And he, again, full sweat. And he's like, I'm fucking tired. I'm going to sit down. And Kobe was still shooting. And he asked him when he got in the game with him, when the game started, he's like, why did you do that? He's like, I wanted you to know that no motherfucker is better than me. That's what he
was. Hold on. I think that was it's what's his name from ESPN, Jay Williams. Jay Williams, yes. Something like that. Yeah, and he was just like, I just wanted you to know that no matter how hard you work, you're not going to outwork me. Dude, that shit fires me up.
No.
Dude, at the end of the day, especially in basketball, right? Basketball is a game where you can perfect your craft. It's if you want to get good at shooting, you go shoot the damn ball. It's that simple. You want to be a better dribbler, go dribble. That's what you do. Maybe in football, it's similar, but football can be a little bit different too, depending on what position you are. Basketball, it's pretty simple. If you want to be good, go put the work in, right? And you see that with all the great players. You hear stories about all of them, but growing up, there was some just phenomenal Kobe stories that you just loved. You can't not like the guy. And I remember the other one, since we're on the topic, he was talking with I think it was Phil Handy, I believe.
Okay.
And Phil Handy's talking about how, because he wouldn't pass the ball to his teammates or something. Right. And he was like, Phil Handy's like, dude, why are you being an asshole? And Kobe's like, I don't respect these guys. They don't put in the work that I put in. Why should I give them the ball? I'm the one that puts the work in. And it's I mean, you got a good point. You know what I mean? You're the one that's waking up at 3:30 in the morning, going to the gym, not the other guy. So,
Right. I want to ask you too. I've now, Eric, I've slowed down a little bit at 26 now. I know you're older than me, but
at
the same time, we are getting old. But I just, as you look back on your career, and it could even be now, are you at the point of maybe you were back then with your teammates, if they asked you for advice, or maybe younger kids or whatever the hell it was, would you give out advice, or would you keep some of your shit to yourself?
No, I would definitely give out advice. I mean,
okay.
I've talked to quite a few people from Ridgeway over the years.
Right.
If it's someone from, ECC or Johnsbury, it might be a little bit different. But
this fucking guy! Look at this.
I would always give out advice. Like I said, at the time when you're in high school, you feel like that's the world. That's the only thing going on in the world. You know what I mean? And then, you get out of high school and you go to college, and you're like, maybe I shouldn't be a douchebag to all these guys that I played basketball against. You know what I mean? And then you kind of go, and, then you end up building friendships with kids who you probably didn't like so much back in the day. That just stems from our competitiveness. You know what I mean? They wanted something that you wanted, and they were in your way, so you didn't like them.
Right.
Like that's basically
Right.
what it was, you know.
Right. No, I have and it's kind of sad. I have this kind of persona that I wasn't the most. Let's see how to word this. Respectful to other competitors, and I look back, and Eric, it was brought to my attention this week that signups are going to be starting soon for Benzinger Park. And there's one guy, I'm not going to say his name on here because I was going to say his name, but he's just like, you thinking about coming back? I'm like, I live in Buffalo now. He's like, yeah, there's a lot of people that enjoy you not being in the league anymore. I'm like, whatever, fuck it. I don't give a shit. It was different in like running. I'll give out advice, but I don't. Where I think it gets dicey is I don't want to give out too much advice because I still got sisters that are running, and I don't want people to know what I'm telling them. They're having great success. I don't want them to go ahead and someone else have that advice and then use it, and then they're
I mean that's kind of
what I mean. So
that's what I was kind of getting at. If
yeah.
Say Ridgeway was playing somebody in a district championship, and one of the players reached out to me and said, "Hey man, like, would love to know like the mindset that you had or like what you did when you were in the like." I'd be, I would tell them something. I wouldn't give them everything. You know what I mean? Not when you're playing against like the old squad. You know what I mean?
Right.
No, that's always fun, man. It's always cool to give back in any way that you can. Whether it's helping a kid with basketball or just giving them advice or whatever it is. That's what it's all about at this point for me, at least. Like I don't really play much anymore. Obviously I'm not. I've been out of college for 30 years now, pretty much. So it's just cool to give back and talk to kids.
Well, you can still do your thing, 21. You know what I mean? So, anyways, Eric,
get up and down still. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted out here.
Well, but I'll tell you, if anybody's out there that's on my social media. Oh, Jesus Christ. I believe that because you're still hitting the gym. I think it would just be a little bit more cardio, and I think you'd be fine. I don't.
Easy.
But no, people out there, Eric, that have me on social media, when I keep doing the 21 song and all that shit, he wore 21 in high school. Did you wear it in college?
Yeah. Yep. My freshman year, I didn't because somebody took it from me because I was a freshman.
That's fine.
But then after I transferred, I wore 21 again. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
that was always 21. My number. And looking back on it, I really don't know why I chose 21. I don't know. I know when I was younger, I wasn't allowed to wear 23, which was my cousin's number, Frank's.
Right.
I wasn't allowed to wear it. And then it got to a point where you could actually wear it in high school. I don't really know what changed, but you were able to wear it, but I didn't want to wear it. It was more like a respect/honor thing. So I rocked 21.
Right. But no, Eric, I mean, is there anything else that you want to touch on or throw out there that you haven't touched on?
That's good, my man. It's been a pleasure as always. It's good to be back back on the podcast. It's been a few weeks, a little bit hectic, a few weeks, and it looks like the schedule in the evenings/weekends is going to be clearing up here very soon.
Right.
So,
well, it might be, but if the Hoochies call you down to the Tiki Bar, Eric, I don't know if you'll always be here.
Well, I'm on a straight path, no hoochies, just hitting the gym, going to work, and coming home. And that's all you can do.
Right. No, but Eric, it's always a pleasure. Next week we're trying to get a guest here. Hopefully we can get him on, and also bring Joshy Boy back. But no, it was a goddamn pleasure as always. But I'll sign us off here. Again, this is an episode of Buckle Up with the Boys with your host here, Drew Billy, and also co-host Eric Matheson. Stay safe out there. God bless. Have a good day. Have a good night. And all gas, no breaks. Eric, it was a goddamn pleasure, buddy.
As always. Take care.
Okay. I'll call you. All right. All right. Bye.